Well, Danny McBride, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
No problem. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, is it true? I've read somewhere that David Gordon Green said that Your Highness started as a beer drinking game.
Yes. You know, David Green and myself went to film school together. We are big film nerds. All we would do is watch movies. And we used to play this game where one of us would come up with the title for a movie, and then the other person would have to quickly figure out what that movie was about. Yeah. You know, we had such movies as Hold Your Horses, which was about a armless cowboy who had lassos for arms. And Your Highness was developed that same way. One night, David just said, the movie is called Your Highness. What's it about? I was like, Your Highness, it's probably about a prince who gets stoned and fights dragons. And that joke sort of evolved through the years into the movie that is out in theaters now.
How did you get the studios to agree to it? Because, I mean, there's some stuff on there that you're thinking, okay, slaying this creature and ending up with its private parts. How did they say yes to stuff like that?
Hypnotism. We used a lot of hypnotism. I honestly, I am totally shocked that this movie has remained in this version and has made it to the screens. You know, it was always sort of like a love letter to the perverted 13-year-old and David and myself. You know, we grew up on these sort of fantasy movies like, you know, Kroll and Conan the Barbarian and Beastmaster, and we really wanted to make one of those movies and then kind of undercut it with this sort of juvenile comedy perspective that kind of like was fitting in line with what our sense of humors were at the time when we were enjoying these sort of movies.
Is there anything that the studio went, no, you know what, that's pushing it a little bit too far, you need to cut that?
You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff that made it into this movie, but on one place they drew the line is we really wanted the climax to take place during an orgy, and they didn't let us do that, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's brilliant, and I love the cast in this film, and most people will be talking about Natalie Portman because we're just not used to seeing her in this role. How did she get involved, and did you write the script just so you could actually kiss her?
Yes. You know, I really wrote the script to bend all the laws of physics and nature so that I and Natalie Portman could make out on screen. Natalie actually approached us. She was interested in doing a comedy, and her and David had been in talks about another project, and she responded to the material and said she wanted to get on board. And, you know, I'm a humongous fan of Natalie's, and you know, as a fan, it's just cool to know that she is just as cool as you'd hope she'd be. She was awesome to work with. She has an incredible sense of humor, and yeah, she was great.
And then she went on to win an Oscar.
Yeah, you know, she did that after this movie, so I feel like, you know, this movie got her warmed up to go on and give the best performance of her career so far.
Of course it did. Mm-hmm. And do you know, now, as a result of you guys, she's had a curse put on her, as well as yourself. I don't know if you know this. Charlie Sheen, the guy who's put a curse on Charlie Sheen, has come out and just recently said, I'm cursing the cast of Your Highness because of the way they depict warlocks.
I know, that's not very nice of him, and I also have cast a counterspell against him, so he'll have to talk to my warlock. But, you know, we don't want to offend anyone. We're just making a silly comedy. We're not trying to make any big statements on what warlocks like or don't like. Yeah, and hopefully he can, you know, as a warlock, hopefully he can see that we're just trying to go for comedy. We're not really trying to say that all warlocks want to diverge in beautiful virgins, yes.
You know what I love about you and David? I mean, as you said, you went to film school together, and you've done quite a few projects since. They all seem to be original. How hard is that nowadays in Hollywood, where Hollywood's all about the cash, all about, it seems, remakes, reimaginings, sequels? How do you stand your ground and go, no, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why it's going to work?
It's a very hard thing to do. I mean, in Hollywood, it really is kind of becoming one of those things where you mainly only see tentpole movies these days, and movies they live and die by how many people see the movie the very first 3 days the movie's released, and that's a tough climate creatively because it doesn't really allow you to take a lot of risks or chances, because if it doesn't work, people don't want to do anything with you anymore. And so, with Your Highness, I mean, David and I are movie fans. We're guys who grew up loving movies, watching movies all the time. And we really just want to try to throw something original into the mix, and something, instead of like remaking something old, like let's make something new to give the next generation something to remake and ruin, you know?
I love it. And I actually love your story about how you started. You mentioned taking risks. Can you tell our listeners how you started? And those listeners out there who really want to follow their dream and everyone says, no, it's impossible, what would you say to them?
It is possible. It's crazy. You know, I never really saw myself as being an actor. I went to film school, and that's where I met David and Jody Hill, who I created Eastbound and Down with. And, you know, we always just wanted to make movies and tell stories. And we moved out to Los Angeles, and I was waiting tables and PAing and just doing the things that you got to do to try to make ends meet when you're trying to get your start. And it all was kind of adding up to nothing. And so one day, Jody Hill and myself just decided to move back to North Carolina, where we were from, and put a movie basically on our credit cards and fund our own film. And so we made a movie for $40,000 called The Foot Fist Way, and we cast ourselves in it because we didn't know any actors, and the movie ended up getting into Sundance. And then from there, we ended up getting phone calls from guys like Judd Apatow and Will Ferrell, who we didn't know before this at all. They just had seen the movie and were interested in meeting with us and working with us, and yeah, our careers really took off from that. And so we had spent years in LA kind of waiting for someone to hand us an opportunity, but nothing really started to take off until we just decided to make our own opportunity.
So do you still pinch yourself when you go onto set, and even when you get recognised? Wasn't there a big incident recently in Georgia where you were taken to the police station?
Yeah, there was. I've been on tour with this movie for about a month, going around different colleges and selling it, just kind of showing people the movie. Yeah, in Athens, Georgia, there was a lot of Eastbound and Down fans there, and we were leaving a bar after one of the screenings, and all these kids started to mob us. They wanted pictures and autographs, which is insane. It's Beatlemania. And a police officer on a bike he saw this huge crowd in the street and saw me at the front of it, and I think he thought I was like trying to lead a riot, that I was the Pied Piper leading all these kids through town. But then he quickly realized that I was in fact just trying to get home to my hotel, so he dispersed the crowd, took me into the police station and called me a cab and got me home safely.
That's brilliant. And you're coming to the end of this junket now, but you're going home. There's no break for you. You're going back to work on another series of Eastbound and Down?
Yeah, we're writing the third season of Eastbound and Down now, and we're going to shoot that this summer. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. I love working on that show, so it's going to be fun to switch gears and get back into writing again.
Brilliant. And finally, congratulations, you're about to become a dad. Do you think now we might see some kiddie-type Danny McBride movies?
Yes, I wouldn't count on it anytime soon, but I do know that when you have kids, I've been told that your heart softens and you turn to mush, so maybe a kid movie next year. We'll see.
Brilliant. Well, whatever you do, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much again for spending time with us.
Thank you, and congratulations to yourself, and good luck.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I didn't actually give birth now.